The Greg's Reversed Fate is a great weapon within the first Descendant. However, there is one fatal flaw with this weapon that people are not recognizing and they are still using it. So, I'm going to talk about it, explain and give my perspective on it. So let's get on into this. Hello everybody, it's your boy N here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the issue with the Greg's Reversed Fate. So let's get on into it. Before we do that though, real quick, my creator code is going to be on screen right now. So please do use that creator code. I'm going to be doing a giveaway in my Discord server for 2750 caliber nearing the end of September 2024. So if you want to jump into that giveaway, make sure to use that Discord server. And let's get on into it now. So starting off, let's talk about the config I'm going to be using and then I will show you everything else. So this is the Haley gunning build that I'm using, designed more so for bossing, and I'm using anti-freeze for gluttony. However, we will get to that later in today's video. Now for the reactor I'm using one with skill duration up and with skill cooldown. Mounting does not matter and neither do the middle stats. For the set, I am using the Annihilation set and the external components for additional firearm attack when my health is low and for a little bit of extra duration. So on my Greg I have firearm critical hit damage, damage to the Colossus, a weak damage to the Legion of Darkness, and weak point damage. And then for the modules that I've got on my Greg's Reversed Fate, this is going to be the config that I am running on my Greg. So for my Greg, this is it. It's a fairly high investment config, so both of these weapons have been completely invested into. I'm trying to eliminate all external factors. We're using the same build, the only difference being the actual weapons. So with the playing field flat as it can get, let's go on into why the Greg has a major flaw. So this is some gluttony gameplay. However, we're going to be focusing more on gluttony's immunity bar because of what I do with this Greg's Reversed Fate. So as you can see, Greg's unique ability activates called Bombardment. What this basically is whenever you hit a weak point, or whenever you hit the enemy, it's gonna make it rain these explosive fire droplets type of thing, which are honestly cool AF, and the sound from this is borderline orgasmic. But if you look at his immunity bar, it goes absolutely flying up with the use of these explosive rain fire things from the Greg. Now specifically for bossing, this is horrible. More on the gluttony later though. Let's talk about a lower level boss first. So in this run we are fighting Pyromaniac and I'm using the build that I showed before. So in this run we are going to be using nothing but the Greg's Reversed Fate. As you can see, we're off to a decent start. When the boss has weak points, the Greg does a promising amount of damage. However, he's already got his immunity bar full, which is a very big problem. Now, let's still deal damage to the boss whilst he's down, because this is when the Greg shines. Whenever any boss is down, Greg does insane levels of damage to the boss. This is something that is very much worth noting. Now, the pillar, hitting the pillar with the Greg is a massive challenge, so I'm going to skip over little bits of this fight and just draw you guys to the conclusion of it. The first part of any issue is that we literally could not get Pyromaniac out of immunity. Now the second bit being that if you have a look at my ammo, I'm running low. So I am running low with ammo on this weapon. And now that there's not very many weak points, the Greg cannot do as much damage to this boss as it should be able to do. Now, my ammo is basically gone. And you'd expect me to just go over to the support drone at the beginning of the mission, right? However, the support drone does not give special rounds, neither does it give heavy rounds. So that means that unless you kill one of the mini bosses inside of this mission, you have absolutely zero way to pull yourself any ammo for the Greg's Reversed Fate. So any prolonged boss fight like this instance, it just means that I have no ammo. I have to die in order to respawn just to get ammo with the Greg's Reversed Fate. But that is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is by far how much using the bombardment pulls the immunity bar all the way up. Skipping a tiny bit ahead, you can see the Greg is not friendly towards that immunity bar in the slightest. You can see the immunity bar already full again, and despite me doing as much damage as I can, the Pyromaniac has gone immune for the second time. I've had to let him get out of immunity yet again. Now, with this here, we're just going to keep doing damage to him. Now, if the Pyromaniac did not fall from the damage that he had taken, because he's not fallen at all within this run, had he not fallen, I'm fairly certain we would have killed him anyways. So a third immunity would have been the border. We would have been pulling up on 3 different immunities within one Pyromaniac fight. As for my damage output, I only did around about 23 bordering 24 million damage with the Greg. Now let's compare this to a different weapon that is much better in my opinion. So my Enduring Legacy has critical hit damage, damage to Colossi, critical hit rate and fire attack, and this is the config I'm running on my Legacy, a standard build for bossing that I also use in all of my other videos. Now let's talk about the config that I've got going on my Greg. Now let's run the Pyromaniac again, however this time we're going to be using the Enduring Legacy only, and let's have a look at the difference in the damage. Weak point 1 is broken, weak point 2 is broken, he's going to try pushing it, weak point 3 even his core is broken or the core cover. We're still doing damage to him and he's almost already dead. Now he's going to go immune, so that's immunity 1 out of this run so far with the Legacy. Now for the little target on his back, never mind, he's going to jump away. That's perfectly fine. Let's let him land and then let's see what damage we can do and whether we can pull him out of his immunity or not. So we're just going to start gunning with him, take care of the little fisher thing, and over here we have already knocked him out of his immunity. We've taken care of the 2 mini bosses, and with that he is dead. His immunity bar does fill up rather fast. However, the risk to reward ratio on using the Enduring Legacy means yes, his bar fills up fast, however the damage output is more than rewarding enough to justify this. We killed Pyromaniac in a total of 48 seconds with the Legacy, and we did just as much damage, if not even more. So here I have side by sided the Legacy and the Greg. Now if you look to the right we have the Legacy and on the left we have the Greg. Now the Legacy has filled up the immunity first, but the Greg has also filled up the immunity. Let's have a closer look at both of these clips right now. Starting off with the Greg, once the Swamp Walker is available to take damage, we start dishing our damage. But let's have a look at that one bit again real quick. I've even slowed it down for you guys, but you can see as soon as that bombardment kicks in with the Greg's damage, his immunity bar goes flying up. Let's zoom in on that one more time. That is about a third, if not higher, of his bar already done. And the damage output does not justify this in any way, shape or form. Now for the Legacy, you can see that with the Legacy here we destroy his core cover and we even take out one of his weak points, so immediately the damage is already better and he does go immune, but we are also able to delete all of his weak points fast AF with the Legacy. Now for this example, let's focus on the Gluttony fight. So for Gluttony, you know how it goes. You want to keep Gluttony out of immunity to prevent wipeout, and that is basically the key of Gluttony fights. Now the Greg is going to trigger Gluttony's immunity very, very fast. So the whole point is, do not use the Greg for Gluttony or for bossing. It's not as good as the Enduring Legacy. It'll cause immunity faster, making the boss a little bit more painful, especially in the higher level bosses like Gluttony. Greg can be very good for regular missions and regular enemies. In invasions it's not too bad, however it can vary from invasion to invasion. Now let's quickly have a look at the good side of the Greg for Gluttony fights. So you definitely don't want to be using the Greg just as a general shooting weapon on Gluttony, because you can see over there that I already filled the immunity bar up quite a little chunk. However, when a player is on Gluttony's shoulders or Gluttony is down, or this goes for any boss, whenever they are down, the Greg does disgusting levels of damage and you cannot deny that. You can see from this gameplay right here, even though Gluttony is down, with this Greg right now I am absolutely deleting his HP. So you know, it is very good for bossing, however only in this one exact specific scenario. So in this run with the Enduring Legacy, you can see that I'm dishing higher levels of damage versus the Greg right off the bat. However, there is also one other key factor that I want to mention with this Legacy here. The immunity bar fills up significantly slower. This is a little bit of a 50-50 because of course there are other teammates in my lobby and I'm not the only one dishing damage out here, so you know, take all of this testing with a grain of salt. However, one thing I can say with passion, or with certainty at least, is that the Greg does trigger the immunity way too fast. I do think that the Greg could be an absolutely top tier weapon for bossing. If they can nerf the Greg's, buff the Greg's immunity a little bit more, and you know, make it a little bit less on the rage fill up, then okay, that's fair. That'd be a top tier weapon there. Also, I'm just doing some parkour and picking up some ammo for the legacy. Now, the Greg also does need ammo, but the ammo from the little roly-poly bosses are more likely to drop legacy ammo than they are, more likely to drop Greg ammo than they are for legacy. So, you know, there is a little bit of a trade-off between these two weapons for bossing, but I just think for overall damage output that you do need to be very, very careful. Using either of these weapons are totally acceptable, but I did have a little bit of a moment when I tried running Gluttony in public for the first time. 3 people using Greg's was absolutely disgusting, and his immunity was full within simply seconds, and it was borderline unfair. Not to say that these people didn't know how to fight Gluttony, because you know, they did, absolutely they did know how to fight Gluttony, but their weapon was just the issue in this situation. My main cause with this video is I just want to get the message across that the Greg is not the best option. A lot of people use the Greg believing it is the best option, and I've tried to do my best to prove to you that it is not. It's got some major downsides, like the immunity triggering so fast because of the unique ability, and the Enduring Legacy being the better option in my personal opinion. So guys, that brings us to the conclusion of this video, and I hope you have enjoyed. If you disagree with me or you think I've done anything wrong, and you know, all of that, just let me know in the comment section. I like to hear feedback from you guys and I would also like to hear your opinion on whether you think I'm wrong, whether you think I'm right, if there's any other better options out there, you know, all that sort of stuff. I would love to hear it. Drop it in a comment below. But that's basically been this video, and I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, please do smash that like button, and if you are new here, please do consider subscribing. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year, hopefully. And yeah, that's been this video. Smash that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.